Yeah, so I have two kinds of trades going. One is a swing trade where I'm just trying to play like the breakout, and I'll be looking to take profits at 25.5 and then maybe the next resistance, the rest of it off the table. What you're referring to, Paul, is where I'm looking to accumulate a longer investment strategy or a longer position. And basically what I'm doing is I'm using the technicals coupled with kind of the fear index, right? So I love seeing kind of massive fear and panic in the Bitcoin market. It usually denotes at least a short-term low. And then also looking at the chart, it's about where are the technical levels telling us it's going to go. So if we flip over to the chart here, the reason I bought my first one, which was at 19,000, was just simply that it was we had just pierced the 2017 high right here, which was around 19.5. So I picked up just 1/6 of what I wanted to own or what I planned to accumulate. I strongly encourage this tactic because ultimately it saves people a lot of stress. When you go all in at a particular level, it seems very painful when it just drops another few $1,000s or whatever, and you might get swung out. One of the keys about investing is to not allow emotion to make the decision. Every decision you make as an investor or trader should be based on facts, chart facts, whatever it may be, on-chain analysis. But emotion, when you go all in, emotion is going to be a lot higher. So what I do is I'm very cognizant of the fact, and I've traded for 20 years, where when my first buy, it's the odds of that being the exact low are very low. So I picked up my first buy at 19, and I'll basically buy every 2,000 to 3,000 down, which will let me buy all the way down sub 10,000 if it gets there. I don't know if it will get there, but I always like to add on the side of caution. I would rather own less Bitcoin and have been cautious and protected my capital than own it all and risk being out of the money and having to stop myself out. So the idea here is every 2,000 to 3,000 down, I'm just going to buy another 1/6 position, allowing me to have a total of 6 total positions that I accumulate. And then my goal here is I see Bitcoin longer term at 200, 300, 500, even $1 million. And that's where I plan to hold that position. If we look at the chart here, you can see that basically where it stopped was kind of these little pivot points right here and right here. So it makes sense that price was going to hit some resistance there. I think also a discounted factor of Bitcoin is the US dollar, and the US dollar screaming higher certainly doesn't help. Now, how much it hurts, that's up in the air, but it certainly isn't like a helpful hand in lifting Bitcoin up. I think if the dollar is topping like I'm thinking in the next couple of weeks and we see the dollar start to come down, that could be the catalyst for a move up and a break above this near-term 21.822 level, where we do get that move up to this 25.5 level. So you're absolutely right. From last week when we talked, I was looking for potential upside to 25.5. I think we are a little higher than we were last week when we talked, but I think for the most part, you're just hovering in this wedge pattern. Look for a break here, and then you should get that move up to 25.5. Now, I will say, if we break the lower trend line, that would start to be concerning for me. Then you have to start looking for potentially a retest of 17.5 down here. But right now, this little range here, it's getting tighter and tighter. I would say within the next 5 days, we've got to assume Bitcoin will get squeezed out or one way or the other, either a breakout or a breakdown. My analysis, my probabilities are still favoring the upside to 25.5. Yeah, so I would be long Bitcoin in here, and basically keep your stop just below this trend line. Any sort of daily close below there, I think that gives you a very limited risk trade here. And then the idea is I expect this to curl back up and actually break out and your upside. So the beauty of it is, right, when you're a trader, you want to analyze your risk. So your risk would be from current price at 20,500 to maybe a close below here around 19.5. So you're risking $1,000. If it goes in your direction, you can make as much as about $5,000. So the risk reward there is really nice, 5 to 1. And again, the key is abiding by the exit should it break, right? That's the key. And then, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But the odds right now, the odds are favoring this. And again, I think if you look at the DXY chart here, I mean, this is an insane move in the dollar. It's not sustainable. And if the dollar does get some sort of corrective move here, that would also be a helping hand to Bitcoin. And again, I'd love to say, there's going to be news on Bitcoin, there's going to be this. But honestly, at this point, it's based on usually the stock market, the dollar. There's a few other factors that Bitcoin's moving on. And it's really a matter of how people feel about taking on risk. So you need to see the dollar relax a little bit here, because honestly, it's spooking the markets. It's spooking all the asset markets, including the stock market, because of this dramatic rise in the dollar. The market wants calm. The market wants kind of a steady dollar, not a dollar that's ripping up here. Right now, Bitcoin trades with the overall equity markets. So when the NASDAQ falls, we see Bitcoin fall. But I do think there will be a certain price where that shifts, and you'll start to see it become a more safe haven asset, kind of a digital type gold. But I think this is the key, is that for that to happen, and this could be what ends up happening. And I was watching a lot of the political chatter, and there's because investors have taken such a washout in cryptocurrency, there's being a bigger push for regulation. Sure. And you need to get that regulation in there. So what I could see happening is that you do get some regulation in there, and everyone thinks that's bad. I actually think it's very, very good. And then you start to see more adoption when it's very, very low, even in a bear market or in a nasty kind of recession, depression, by institutional money. Just like you said, they have to invest somewhere. And if you get Bitcoin low enough and they start feeling secure about it, they're going to say, you know what? We got $50 billion or $100 billion. Let's throw just $1 billion into Bitcoin. It might only be 1% of their assets, but if you get thousands of big firms like that to do that, that's a lot of money in Bitcoin.
Would you sell your bag? If you had a 25K Bitcoin bag right now, Gareth, and we popped to 28,
I wouldn't sell it all, because there's no guarantees, right? I've learned that the hard way many, many times. What I would do is maybe take some off, take a quarter off. Nothing wrong with taking a little bit of profit. And then the beauty of that is if it does fall again, you have that freed up capital to invest at a lower price. If it doesn't fall, well, then you still ride the other 75% to the upside. So I think it's money management there, and I think that's probably the best play. It's so important to diversify in everything, in life in general, it's important to diversify. And that's what I do. I mean, I literally have physical gold just in case I wake up one morning and the banks are closed, just like we're seeing in China, right? I mean, that would be a perfect example. And it's not like I hold a lot of physical gold, I don't, but at least enough to get me through for a little while if I needed to. I don't know how much the public will see it, but I do think that banks like JP Morgan and Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, they're all taking note, and they're probably going back to the drawing board and looking and saying, okay, do we need to protect ourselves? How do we kind of plug any holes? And let's keep a really close eye, keep scanning for any of these breakages in the system. And we know that the repo market, right? I mean, the Federal Reserve's been having crazy amounts of repo being parked there. I mean, there's definitely some issues, and this is probably all interconnected. And going back to your comments on Bitcoin is while things like this may not immediately impact Bitcoin, I do believe that the more instability globally, especially in the banking system, the more it pushes people to accept an alternative currency, something like a Bitcoin. I mean, just think about all these people that are being affected in China and aren't able to get their money out of the banks. Think about some of them may not even have heard of Bitcoin before, maybe just passingly had heard of it. And now they're starting to say, listen, how do I avoid this in the future? Let me invest some of my money in Bitcoin. So this is one of those things where short term, I don't think it has a major impact on Bitcoin. We're not seeing Bitcoin rip higher today, but it's just these little pinpricks in the financial system that is the building blocks for Bitcoin.
Join Margex and get a $50 bonus by signing up through the link in the description. Moreover, by depositing 0.004 or more BTC, you will get an additional $50. The minimum deposit is only $10 and the minimum trade size is $1. You will never find any hidden commissions on Margex, and all deal indicators are on screen and available in real time.